Do these little tire inflators actually work? Today, we're going to test that out. This one is made by GOOLOO, and it's called the AP150 Pro. GOOLOO is a fairly popular name on Amazon. They make a jump starter that's pretty well reviewed, and I've actually received from them in the past. We're going to see if it's any good. GOOLOO, it's kind of a weird name. Don't know what it means, and to be honest, I don't really care. But they asked me if I wanted to do a video on this, so I said, sure, I'll try it out. You know, hey, if it works, might actually be a handy thing to keep around. I'll just say I'm pretty surprised how small this was. When I hear, tire inflator, there's obviously going to be a compressor, and this thing's pretty small. I am interested to see how well it works. Here's the unit itself, and yeah, it fits in your hand. It's really, really small. I don't know how many tires this thing would be able to do. I'd be interested to see whether it's for just topping off or if you can actually fill like all your tires from empty. Okay, you get a little carrying cloth for it too. That's nice. Here's your hose. You can lock it onto the valve stem with that. And a couple different attachments, including one for filling up sports balls and whatnot. I think these are for like pool tubes and rafts and stuff like that. It would actually come in handy. You don't even have to buy it for a tire inflator. You could bring it to the soccer practice and fill up everybody's balls. Simple to use. Connect the nozzle. Press. You know what? We'll save that for when we go to the testing grounds. And here's our charging cable. It's USB-A to USB-C. Nice USB-C. Looks like right here. You open that. Get a USB. That's probably for charging your phone. That's nice. You can use this as a power bank too to charge your phone up or charge whatever you want. And there is the in port for charging. The charging ports are on the bottom. On the top, this is where you actually have a light too. This is an LED. This is where you screw that hose in. You get a couple buttons. I don't know if they charge it. They actually do charge it. It looks like it's full charge. You get a green button telling you it's full charge. So this bottom button here is your flashlight. Hold that down until it beeps. You can hold it and it turns it off. If you press it once, it gives you a little SOS if you're stranded. All right, so I figured out how it works. So I was pressing the power button and nothing was happening. You actually have to hold it down and it plays a little jingle. And you can see your charge. That's the PSI it is set to. And you can change that with the plus and minus buttons. So it's set to 36. It's reading 0 PSI right now because I don't have anything attached to it. It's on the car mode. This little switcheroo button switches the mode. Motorcycle. And it shows blue circle this time, 35 PSI. This is a bicycle at 60 PSI. That's your sports ball at 8 PSI. And press it again and that is... All right, well, on the instruction sheet, it just says custom, so I guess that just means you can set it to whatever. But you just hold it back down, and that'll turn it off. So my tires are actually all full, but something people neglect is the spare tire. The spare tire is usually going to be inflated to around 60 PSI. Mine's reading like 12 pounds. You should always check the spare tire. We're going to put 60 pounds in here. Should be a good first test for this air compressor, see how it works. Oh, it's been extremely windy the past few weeks. Feels like that episode of SpongeBob where the wind never stops. Very strange, but we're gonna be putting this on the tire here. Lock it on. Now we're gonna turn this thing on. I did make sure it was full battery, full charge. I did plug it in. And you can see it's reading 11 PSI. Now it has presets. I'm just gonna put it onto this custom and just throw it up to 60. And we're gonna press the on button. It's pretty loud. It shakes a lot. It's moving. Let's see how long this takes.
Ahora sigo cantando y sigo gozando.
59. And 60. Turns green when it gets there. Nice and hard tire now. It says high temperature, don't touch the air tube. Yeah, it's definitely warm. Battery wise, it's gone down from 4 bars. It's on 3 bars now. That took a long time. So that was about 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes worth of air. So I just checked another vehicle, and this donut is at about 30 psi. And if you're wondering where to check your tires, your car actually will say in the door jamb here, tire pressures, you got front and rear. This vehicle says 35 psi, and the spare states 60 psi. So right in the door jamb on the driver's side door should state the information on what the vehicle should be. So we're going to fill this one up, see if the compressor can continue the work. We're going to throw this one on, lock it on. We're at 31 psi with 3 out of 4 bars, 60 pounds of pressure. We're just going to tap the button and it turns right on. All right, we're at 57 now. You can see it's gone down to 2 bars. And there it is. It went down to 2 bars at about 50 pounds. That was 10 pounds to 60 pounds on the first one and 30 pounds to 60 pounds on the second one for a total of 80 pounds. And it looks like it just used about half the battery, or a little less than half. After filling up your spare tires, you go to the park to play some soccer. When disaster strikes, your ball is deflated. Well, luckily you have your GOOLOO tire inflator in the car. All right, so we're gonna take this little ball attachment here. I just actually used that to deflate the ball.
Yeah, Peter, I just deflated the ball. Hey, Peter!
All right, we're at 2 bars now after filling up the spare. We're still on the same charge after both spares, actually. We'll change it to ball, which is 8 psi. Put that in there and let's see what happens. You could always use a hand pump for this, but we're not cavemen. We have technology. Hand pumps don't need batteries, though. There we go. I'm gonna turn it off. I don't know if I'm supposed to. It wasn't reading anything on the PSI. I think it was just gonna keep going because this thing could probably be filled up a little bit more, but I don't know if that was gonna stop. Not gonna be putting any more air in this thing. That's enough air. So I don't know what's up with that. It literally didn't read back PSI. Not exactly sure, but if you just go by hand, I wouldn't put this on and leave it because I think it would probably blow up. After filling up those 2 spares and the ball, we're gonna charge it. It dropped down to about 2 bars, probably a little bit under 2 bars. We're gonna plug it in and see how long it takes to charge back up to full. And it's about 6 p.m. right now, so we'll check back and see when it finishes. And it's now fully charged, indicated by the battery light no longer blinking. Finished at about 9:30 p.m., so it took about 3.5 hours to charge up about half the battery. I was just going to do the spares, but I felt that a part 2 was necessary. The spare tires were inflated to 60 psi, which is a lot of pressure, but the tires are pretty small, and it doesn't take that much volume to fill them up. These are some Corvette tires. They're fairly large. These are actually some older ones, and they've been sitting around for some time. I'm gonna fill these up to 30 to see how well it fills up a full-size tire that is empty. It's reading 0. See what happens. I started about 5:43. It's 5:50 now, so it took about 7 minutes to fill up from 0, and it dropped down to about 3 bars at around 21 psi. We're gonna move over to the second tire now. I have 2 of these sitting around. This one is also at 0. Yeah, it doesn't even read anything. And we're done with that tire. We've gone down to 1 bar. We wouldn't be able to do another one of these tires from zero. These are 275. There's not a whole lot of sidewall on these, but they're really wide. The first one took about 7 minutes. The second one took about 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes. So are these tire inflators effective? I actually forgot I had those Corvette tires laying around, and I'm really happy that I got to fill them up because it allowed me to test them out on large tires as opposed to just the small spare tire. The spare tires I filled all the way up to 60 psi, which is a high pressure, but the volume of the tires, they're small tires, so it didn't take as much air in terms of volume. Now going to the Corvette tires, I only filled those up to 30 psi, which is not as high pressure, but they're much larger, so it took a lot more volume. So we got to see the difference of a high pressure versus a high volume. This, in either case, performed pretty well. It filled up the spare tires, no problem. Coming to the Corvette tires, it did use more battery on that go because it just took a lot of air. It took a lot longer to fill them up. And as far as how many tires it can do, if your tires are flat, it's only going to be able to do a couple tires. But that's not what this is made to do. This thing is not going to replace an actual air tank, an air compressor. There's just no comparison between this and that. However, this does come in handy if you're just topping off your tires. Say it's the winter time and your tires are a few pounds low. You can use this to fill them back up to the standard pressure, or if you need to air down your tires for whatever reason, a few pounds, then you can use this to get it back up nice and easily. But in my opinion, this thing works pretty well for the intended purpose, is just really topping off some tires, or you have one tire that's really low and you want to fill that one up. There's a lot of tire inflators out there. This is just the one I tested for this video, thanks to GOOLOO. They're not paying me, they're not sponsoring me. All they did was send this unit out for me to test, and I got to make my video how I wanted to make it. If you enjoyed watching this video, consider subscribing. Otherwise, I'll see you later.